Hey guys, we're going to be changing a belt today on this 2011 Ram 3500 with the 6.7 Cummins in it. These belts can be a little tricky if you don't take the fan off. It's not impossible to do. You can do it without taking the fan off, but I'm going to take the fan off because it's easier. If you don't take the fan off, you may need two people to do it. It's much easier. The tensioner is easily accessible from underneath with a long ratchet, and we'll show you in a minute where that is. It's on this side. I did write down the belt routing. I always recommend doing this if you're going to change your belt. That way you don't scratch your head on how it goes back together, or put it on incorrectly, or have to spend 10 minutes looking online, find what you hope to be the right routing diagram. So to start on this truck, I've gone ahead and grabbed the 36 mil fan wrench. I'm sure there are different actual fan wrench tools. This one's just a giant wrench that we've ground down so it fits on there. I got some pry bars here. I forget exactly what size I need, but I know that if I stick a pry bar down onto the fan pulley, it has to be the pulley, not the fan itself, because the fan's going to spin. We need to hold that that pulley, and there's just 4 or 6 bolts. I can't remember. I think it's I believe it's 4 bolts on this one, maybe 6. We'll find out when we get in there. But you just jam them between the bolts so that the pulley can't spin, and then you go ahead and yank the wrench and crack it loose. I don't think they are left-hand threads. I'm just gonna have to double check and let you know. So I am going to get this thing set up, and we'll be back in a second. Okay guys, so if it has an electronic fan, it's a right-hand thread, and if it has a manual fan with no wires going to it, it has a left-hand thread. So mine has a left-hand thread. Unfortunately, it was so tight, I could not for the life of me get this thing off. So it's fine, it's gonna stay on there. I don't care, we'll change the belt with the fan on. I'm sure most of you watching this video will be doing it the same way, seeing as you probably don't have a 36 mil wrench, so not a big deal. You're gonna need a 1/2 inch wrench though, so that we can get up into our belt tensioner. That's the next step here. I'll just show you where the little hole is. It's right up in there. And make sure that you do get it in the square. Get a light and take a look, because on the casting there are a couple other spots, and you can actually push hard enough to fit your 1/2 inch ratchet inside of one of those cutouts in the tensioner, and you'll break the tensioner. I've seen it happen. So we get this in here. Now you can take a look at the belt. With common sense, you can see which way you need to go, but if you're not sure, you need to push your ratchet this way, and we're going to take the tension off of the belt and remove said belt. One more click there. I'm just going to pop it off of our air conditioning pulley. Now do not let the belt tensioner twang. Don't let it just fly off the ratchet. You could damage that belt tensioner. So now we're just going to go ahead and start pulling the belt off, and what's going to happen is we're going to have to feed where the fan is and the shroud that goes around it. We're going to have to feed the belt in behind the fan to get that off. So it's not a big deal. Just go ahead and take the belt off of all the pulleys until you get it to that point, and then I'll show you how to take that off the fan. Okay, so I took the belt tensioner off. It's a 13 millimeter bolt. Now, that was the hole that I'm talking about, that you can wedge your ratchet in. I think actually what happens is you accidentally grab a 3/8 drive ratchet. That's what I've seen. But yeah, it's 1/2 inch. Anyhow, the way this thing's mounted against the engine, the belt runs through this side, and you're trying to get the belt out. You could cut it, but then you have to put the new belt in. And the way how close it sits to there's a cover on the front of the engine. It's very difficult to slip it through sideways this way. And also, a lot of these engines will have oil all caked up right up in here. And when you go to put your new belt in, all the oil and stuff's gonna just get stuck in all the ribs of the belt. So take this thing off. It's really easy to take off. Just take it off and then clean that spot so that the belt doesn't get contaminated with grease and oil and a bunch of other stuff. And then we're pretty much at the point now where we need to loop our belt around the fan. So it's fairly simple. What I'm gonna do is just lower the truck down, get back up top in the engine bay. I'm gonna lift the belt up, and basically the belt is just around where the fan is, and then we just need to stick it into between the fan shroud and the fan, and then drop the belt out. So.
And then put the back on the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to obviously pay attention to whether the belt is this way or if it's this way. So I'll let you know. So basically just had to drop the belt down. There's not very much room between this fan pulley and the crank pulley. They're very, very close. But if you drop your belt down and then while you have your hands and arms down there, I just started to move the fan to get the fan blades to kind of drag the belt up. And then I had to slip the belt in over top of the crank, and it's very, very tight and difficult, but I was able to do it. So it's in there. Now we can just start to route some of the stuff up here, and then what I might do is just use a small pair of vice grips to clamp the belt to one or two of the pulleys so that the belt doesn't fall off when I'm down below. Then we'll get everything set up, get our tensioner put back on, and get this thing on. Okay, so there's a crankshaft position sensor right there. You just want to make sure that the belt is not around anything. Everything's where it's supposed to be. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and install my belt tensioner. I'm gonna grab that. And just, I guess right at the end of things before, like once we get this tensioner and stuff on, just make sure that the belt's and sitting on all of the pulleys correctly and that they're not sitting on part of the pulley, like all the ribs are matched up and lined up. So. Okay, so there's a little dowel pin on the back of this tensioner that needs to be lined up with a hole. And you'll be sort of be doing it blind. Can't see where this thing goes into. But we remember where the tensioner sat. So I'm just gonna slowly start tightening this down. If you had to, you could probably just, well, I guess we can actually take a look and just see right through the fender liner if you look up in there. You can probably watch where the hole is, but make sure that that gets put in the right spot and that the so it's somewhere up in there. This is gonna be a bitch.
You want me to hold the tensioner? Oh, you got it.
One sec. Yeah, if you want to hold this. gonna have to probably put it on the water pump up top. This is gonna suck. Yep, too tight.
Can't you spin the wheel? Put it on.
Yeah, let that off for a second. No. No. Because it's gonna try to turn the crank. Okay, so like I say in the beginning of the video, sometimes it turns into a two-person job because the tensioner's underneath. And what happens is new belts, they're not as stretched as the old belt, so the tolerances are very tight and you don't have much room to work with. So I just held the tensioner in a full open position, and then cameraman here just went up and installed the belt onto the alternator pulley. Has a little more, not as much of a wall on the ribs versus the air conditioning compressor pulley. So we got that on there, and then just make sure that all our pulleys are lined up and the belt's not off or anything like that. So looks like we're good to go. Just going to fire it up now and make sure everything is good. Make sure it's not making any weird noises, nothing's rubbing, all that stuff. And yeah, if you got any questions, throw them down in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, and as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.